You're listening to KCFB Ferguson, 89.5 The Wave, and this is Fear the Dead Air with your host, JazzHandss.
When civilization ends, it ends fast.
That is right. You are listening to the one, the only Fear the Dead Air here on 89.5 The Wave. I'm your host, your friendly neighborhood DJ, JazzHandss. Rock it out. I apologize that we are a little bit late. It's been one of those mornings. Unfortunately, I came in a little bit late, but I still want to talk about last Sunday's epic, Fear the Walking Dead. And, of course, joining me, like always, is the bad Paul.
Hey, what's up?
And we're going to, like I said, talk about last Sunday's Fear the Walking Dead.
I think it's funny. It's like you and I are the only two that are actually keeping up with Fear.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, we've got all these other people that want to come in during Walking Dead, but Fear, it's like, nah.
Well, that's kind of expected, and that's kind of understandable, because, let's face it, Fear for Season 1 was not as good as it could have been.
No, and it's a shame, because Season 2 is really kind of ramping up.
Yeah, I'll agree it's ramping up, because we talked a little bit about it off air, but I definitely did have my problems with it, but it is starting to ramp up to a point where when I'm watching it, I'm enjoying it more, and I'm not kind of looking at it at the 40-minute marker and going, let's wrap this up. I'm getting kind of bored. I'm getting kind of done with this.
I'm almost to the point of, no, I'll say it. I am to the point of I want next Sunday to get here so I can see what happened.
Yeah, I will give you that. I am excited to see what at least happens with this crew, with Madison and the gang, and Madison actually surprised me this episode.
Madison's scary this episode. But I haven't had that from this. Up until the last two episodes, it's kind of been, I'll catch it on DVR. I'll catch it on demand. I don't care. I'll catch it, but it's not like, I have to be home Sunday to watch it. It's getting to the point where it's like, all right, guys, leave me alone Sunday about 8 o'clock. I'm checking out for a little while.
Yeah, and I hope it really keeps up, because there are certain moments throughout it. For me, at least, the episode still did have its problems. There's still stuff that I personally didn't like, but that's just me. I did, however, there are stuff that I really, really did like, and it is slowly starting to ramp up to where it's not a kind of chore to watch it on the weekends. It's okay, I'm really starting to enjoy it, and I hope, and it's a shame, it's like I said last week, and I'll say it again, I hope that it keeps ramping up, because with only essentially 2 episodes left now of the season, when it ends, when you look back at the season, it's like,
it ends fast. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. But no, when you kind of look back at the season, it's like, okay, we've had such a short season. What really happened in that time span to justify 8 episodes?
You know what? A lot happened in this season. The first season with, it had 6 episodes?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't enough that really happened in that season to justify the 6 episodes. This season, yeah, I would say that they've had enough to justify 8 episodes and possibly a mid-season break and 8 more episodes.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, I think what they're going for this season is they're going to make it to Mexico. Mm-hmm. They're going to make it to Baja House. Is that enough to complete a full season? I guess. I mean, it is the completion of a storyline.
Yeah.
And, that's one thing that The Walking Dead, and I'm going to assume now Fear the Walking Dead, they tried to make it through a storyline in a season. Whether it's, a 6-episode season, a 13-episode season, an 8-episode season, a 16-episode season.
Well, you got to think about this, though, too, and I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah.
But Walking Dead, because what I've noticed, The Walking Dead has always had Part A and Part B, where Part A will wrap up something that happened last season, or dealing with last season, or kind of start off a little bit fresh, but, something might have happened.
Yeah.
And then Part B will end whatever, if anything started in A, end it, and then they start into a whole new storyline that will leak over to the next season. With this season, with the wall's going down. They wrapped that up within the first episode.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it was about the Saviors, fighting the Saviors.
Yeah. Okay, I can give you that one for this B season, but you have to look back at the prison fall and the termites and all of that. They kind of left on big cliffhangers on the A season.
Yeah.
And then the B season picked up those cliffhangers and resolved.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way I like Walking Dead. It's one of the reasons I like Walking Dead is they do things like that. And when you look at Fear the Walking Dead, it seems like they're just kind of going for, and I hope they're not going to stick to 8 episode seasons, because once they get into more complex story arcs, that's not a lot of time to tell a full story.
No, yeah, exactly. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I was worried and why I am worried and why it's such a shame, because it is starting to ramp up to the point where you're getting interested.
Yeah.
But with only 2 episodes left, it still needs a little bit more ramping up to where if it's like something big happens at that season finale, it's like, okay, well, we got part A coming out maybe in a month or 2.
Yeah. The B season will be on in another month or 2, and we'll be
Yeah.
cool. And I don't think we're going to get that until after the A season of. Well, I hope maybe after the A season of Walking Dead they bring back Fear.
Yeah, or it's
for an A season.
Or because remember when we were talking, because we were at the Valley Flowers this weekend, and we kind of stepped aside and started talking a little bit about it, and I'm wondering if they're going to have Fear kind of be, instead of focusing it on as another big, 18, how many episodes was in Walking Dead?
Walking Dead's 16 episodes per season.
16
8
episodes.
for the A and 8 for the B.
Yeah, if instead of having, those 8 part A and B seasons, if they're just going to actually stick them to 8 episode seasons, and they're going to have it before a Walking Dead season starts and after. So we're going to have, it's always going to be sandwiched. So essentially, theoretically, by doing that, Fear could either catch up with season 6 of having a season 6 within. So let's say like every year or something, they get like 2 seasons.
Yeah, 2 8-episode seasons.
Yeah, that will sandwich, between, or not sandwich, will be the bread of
right
Walking Dead. The real good stuff.
But the one thing that struck me was when they were talking on Talking Dead, and I believe it was last week's Talking Dead, where they were talking about Nick did it first. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, Nick pulled a Rick," but realistically, Rick's still in a coma, so Rick pulled a Nick.
Yeah,
with, covering himself in walker blood and disguising himself, and that this kind of serves to remind you that they're only like 2 weeks, 3 weeks into the apocalypse.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the problems where I'm having with.
They need to catch up quick.
Well, not necessarily catch up quick, but it's one of those things where Madison has said some lines, and a couple of the other characters have said certain lines to where they're like, I don't want to just survive. I want to, live out my life, or I don't want to do this. I want to do that. And it's like, what have you been through to justify that you're kind of done and you don't want to just survive?
I'm going to disagree with you on that, because I can see it, because they're still in that idealistic phase of, maybe this is just a thing that's contained to the United States. If we make it to Mexico, I don't just want to survive. I want to have a life. I want to live in, the Baja house in Mexico. I want it to be nice. And, once the United States falls apart and they kill all these stupid things, and then we can come back. Or once they find a cure, we can come back and we can live our lives just like we normally would. They haven't been through 2 years of, oh, God, not again. Pop!
Well, but even in the first season of Walking Dead, it was... Because this is kind of the problem a little bit, too, that I'm having. We've seen walkers in this series. We've seen walkers in the show. Not enough, I feel. The plane one was good. That was a good start. It's like, okay.
The plane one was good. The
There's
underwater walkers I thought were great.
The underwater, they're unique walkers, but the one thing about The Walking Dead that I've always liked is, at least in the earlier seasons, you really feel the magnitude of how outnumbered you are.
Yes.
For each one person, there's 20 walkers.
Yeah.
And so...
You haven't gotten that with this.
No. And so there's really... To me, to be brutally honest, to me, their survival, they've been sitting high and mighty.
Oh, yeah, they have.
They haven't had to deal with... They've had to deal with people, yes.
They've T-Pained it, dude. They've been on a boat the entire... You know, I mean,
exactly.
Once they escape land, they've been on a boat.
Exactly. There's not too much to worry about, except, we've gotten it with this episode. We've gotten the eccentric pirates, let's just call them. And
millennial pirates, they just don't care.
Yeah. I still want, pirates to come up, scurvy, straight up, give us your stuff and we'll go, But I'm still waiting for there to, and that's kind of why I've said, I don't remember if we were talking about this on air or not. I think it was off air. Because we talk like
we're nerds. We talk a lot off air.
But I because I've said with Alicia in this episode, I kind of wished she would die. Not okay, that's bad. Her
character. Her
yes,
character. Let's
yes.
not wish anything bad against Alicia.
Yeah, and that
Carey, I think.
And again, I don't want there to be oh well, I just want her to die because she's a useless character, blah 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 blah. But I want there to be more weight. They've been sitting high and dry, and I want there to be more weight. I want there to be more consequences, and because we talked about it, when you said that there was consequences for what happened with Alex, but I'm looking at the devastating consequences that will keep the group going. I want a Sophia Barn reveal. I want the Shane turning on him. I want the Lori dying after childbirth. I want these consequences, this weight, this drama, essentially, that these characters haven't gone through, and that's one of the reasons, too, why I haven't been able to take them as serious.
Can I make my observation here?
Yeah, go for it.
One quick observation here. The characters have to gel as a team before we can really have those devastating, oh my God, moments. If Alicia died this time, it would have been that just sucked. Oh well, no biggie. She has to be an essential part of the team, or we have to have enough faith in Madison and in Travis that this is going to devastate them. And the group is almost there. I mean, they're very, very close. Strand is siding with the group. Okay, fine, we're going to go get your family back. We bought you half a day. We do that, we're solid. You saved me. There's that the beginning of the group gelling together. Daniel and Ophelia and Chris all working together with Jesse McCartney, who did not sing any songs during that episode, thankfully. Not a big Jesse McCartney fan, and he may have had some decreased lung capacity, being that he had a big crowbar shoved through his chest. But
well, I mean, really, that's as a musician, that would be another hook.
Oh, that was bad.
So,
but I mean, they're starting to work together as a team. And I think you really need to have that before you can have the big main cast member deaths that are going to devastate you. Okay? Realistically, in first season, would you have cared if Nick died?
No.
All right, what about now?
Get in there.
Nick and Strand said something about, I saw the potential in him within 5 minutes of meeting him.
Yeah, I want to go into Nick a little bit later, because there's
a lot to Nick that I really think Nick's whole thing is he's found his niche. He was walking around, and they touched on this, and again, I watched both Talking Deads, last week's and this week's, because Yvette Nicole Brown was on, and
yeah. You gotta love.
You've got to watch Yvette Nicole Brown.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, she's awesome. But she said, Nick said something to Alicia that I was hungry all the time, and that was my problem. And I think so much of what he was and what he felt, he sees in these walkers. And that's why he is able to function among them so well. I mean, he's God, I hate to say this. He's a better Glenn than Glenn. You need somebody to run and, go and get something and come back. Nick. And you wouldn't have had that had he been killed off last year or last season, and we just didn't care at that point. So I think we're getting where we need to get as far as the characters as a team gelling together and everybody kind of knowing their place and everybody having a place. Then it's time to start killing off mains.
Yeah. No, I'll agree with that. There has been not structure in the group. Let's say they haven't been this tightest group.
No, but they're getting there now.
Yep, they're starting to get there. And let's just talk about Nick now. Let's actually just dive right in because you brought up some really good points about Nick, and I want to say too how you said he's a better Glenn than Glenn. I like what Madison said though in the episode where she's like he's starting to like it, and he's like, well, Mom, why don't you want to go? And it's like, because you want to go.
Yeah,
I like the idea of he's almost started to go from one drug to another. And that's doing these runs.
He's gone from heroin to adrenaline,
and that's where I think it's different between Glenn and him. Where Glenn will get something done, do it, get out. He'll put himself in danger, But even in season 2, they kind of, they fixed that to where it's just like before Glenn was just like, I would always do it because I thought I was playing a video game, and now there's actual serious weightness. And now whenever he does do anything like
stand on top of a dumpster.
Yeah, like stand on top of a dumpster or do something. He's more aware of that weight that he could, he might not make it back.
Yeah,
and that's where I think those two characters stand off, are at least separate. Like, I don't think that he thinks that he won't die, but there could, like Nick. I don't think Nick thinks that he won't die, but there could be that mentality that he has with using the drugs of, well, every time I used, I should have died.
Yeah,
every time I use, I should have died.
He's mentioned that.
Yeah, and every time he goes out, he feels, well, I could have died, but I didn't. And so let me go do that again, because to me,
he's chasing the next high.
Yeah, exactly. And so that in turn, because I like Nick, I like the idea. I like how Nick's really come around, and I like when Nick took Chris aside and was just like, hey, you need to like, I really like this character, but if he goes from one drug to the next and really starts, and it might, because we need to see where it goes with it, and that's why I wish we had more seasons, because we could, or more of the season, because we could actually play with it, but I want to see where it goes, because after Madison said, because you want to go, he kind of looked at her like, huh. And so I'm wondering if it's he either is like, oh, I'm fine, she doesn't know what she's talking about, or if he's like, she's kind of right, I do want to go.
She's got a point. I'm using this instead of what I was using.
Yeah, and that's what I'm curious to see, if he's either, oh, she's crazy, or if it's, oh, this is real, this is weight, this is something this I'm gonna listen to her, and if that's the case and they kind of fix that problem, then but it would be one of those things where I want them to play with it more, and that's why I wish we had more.
And in reality, me personally, I feel that Nick has finally found his niche, for lack of a better term. He can go among the dead. And I love what someone said, and I'm not sure, I can't remember at this point if it was in the show or in The Talking Dead, but that Nick's been operating like that for years. He's been undead. He's been walking around shuffling, groaning, looking for the next fix of whatever he needs, and he's been there, so he can relate. I mean, you saw, again, 2 episodes back when he found Luis. He got into the town, and he saw the walker coming up towards him, and he started shuffling, and he had that kind of dead-eyed look, and he got face-to-face with her, and she just kind of and walked past, and Nick kind of stopped for a second, straightened up, and then just started strutting off. Like, I know these people. I am these people. I'm just still alive. And I really, really think that's going to play into Nick's character. I think he is, in a way, dead inside.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I think he's at least very hurt. I think, like, inside, I think he's slowly starting to kind of come around.
Yeah.
Because if somebody was dead inside, I don't think they would really care about, what happened to Chris, or
care
enough to be like...
I think there's a part of him that is, from all the drug use, that recognizes this is what it ends. This is what the end is like.
Yeah.
This is how it ends. And he seems to identify more with the walkers.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll agree with that. Nick's definitely starting to kind of come into his own, and that's where I wish this. Like I said, I wish there was more to it because I really want to explore his character more.
Oh yeah, because Madison, the whole episode was like, "You're getting too comfortable with this. I don't want you going out on any more of those." When she saw him loading up the gun, and he's like, "Mom, it's cool. I can do this. I know how to do this. I'm good at it." And he's loading, the gun and. And his mom's like, "You're getting a little too comfortable with that." And he's like, "I kind of should."
Yeah.
Yeah, he's right. He kind of should. He really kind of should. Because you're going to have to use them.
Yeah.
But by the same token, she's still looking at him as her little son, Nick. Mm-hmm. Same way as they're still looking at Alicia as little girl Alicia. And Chris as little boy Chris. And they're going to have to stop that.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's also, too, one of those things where I'm wondering, because Madison has always kind of babied Nick.
Oh, yeah.
Madison has always... And like season 1, she babied him and babied him and babied him and babied him and babied him. And then the only time she didn't baby him is when she kicked the crap out of him.
Yeah.
After, he started using the drugs, which... Good moment, Madison. That was one of the highlights of season 1. But she's always kind of babied him, and I definitely feel that Daniel's going to be the one to be like, the kids, they can take care of themselves. I've fought with and or probably maybe even against kids much younger.
Yeah.
Than these kids. They can handle themselves, and they're smart to an extent.
And he did kind of say that.
Yeah.
He's like, if we're going to take them on, we need everybody fighting. And she goes, no, the kids stay back. And he goes, they're not kids anymore.
Yeah.
They're becoming an adult. They're becoming adults.
Yeah. In this world, there are no more kids. It's as soon as you can hold a gun, as soon as you can fire, as soon as you can defend yourself, you're going to battle. If
Carl Papa showed that one off real good.
Yeah. Carl's a prime example, of something like this, and Madison in this episode, when she said we're going to go in and we're going to storm the, if they resist, we're going to attack. She reminded me so much of Rick Grimes. Yeah,
and I'm sorry, but I almost wanted to hear Billy Crystal's voice with that "Have fun storming the castle."
Yeah,
I mean, it was just a really, really interesting plan.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, it was an interesting plan. It was kind of a half-assed plan too.
Oh yeah. Oh, totally.
It's because it's like, hey, we're gonna go in, just guns blazing, and it's like, oh,
you don't have that many guns, and you don't know how many people they have, or really what they're in.
Yeah.
That may not be the smartest thing to do.
Yeah, and so that's where I but definitely you need to be careful, because if you go in guns blazing. But I want to talk about Chris.
Okay.
Because Chris, in this episode... Now, do you think he did it? Do you think it was a mercy kill, or do you think it was a you pissed me off kill?
I think the kid was what's his name, Reed?
I don't remember.
Yeah, his name was Reed, Jesse McCartney's character.
Uh-huh.
I think Reed was getting into his head. That, they're not going to stick up for you, they're not going to care about you. It's the minute you become a liability, they're cutting you off. You're breaking loose. And I think he finally got inside Chris's head, and Chris said, okay, I'm done. And pow! He was going to turn, man. And, that was kind of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think so, too. I think it was he killed him to prove a point to himself.
That he could.
Yeah, that he could. And that's where I think Chris's character is going to start getting dangerouser and dangerouser, or at least a lot more unstable, to where he essentially... It's like everybody's been saying, he went full Shane. And you never go full Shane. You don't go full Shane because... And yes, because we've talked about this extensively, like, Rick and Rick kind of now is looking at Shane where it's like, hey, let's go and attack this group. But
yeah,
Shane is very much... This is one of those things where it's kind of going to be for a future Dead Air, where I want to talk about with after the season's over and we kind of have more downtime. My brother and I were actually talking about having a little show about... if characters were still alive from previous seasons now for season 6, what would they be like? And one of the things I think of is I think Shane was one of those characters that he was very puffed up chest, very much, hey, we're going to go to these guys and we're going to tell them, knock it off. This is our place. Knock it off. And... very egoish, we're just going to go kill them instead of, actually planning it out and really debating and you going at night and stuff. He'd go broad daylight, make sure everybody sees because he has to have the biggest ego. And I'm worried that could possibly be Chris, to where, I mean, a character... People can say all sorts of things in this world, and they're going to probably say all sorts of things in this world. It's what, essentially their actions. And you don't kill somebody right off the bat because they're talking. Yes, he got into his head. Yeah.
He definitely got into Chris's head.
But because Chris allowed him to keep getting into his head, he that's where the unstableness, I feel, comes in.
I almost see Chris as less Shane and more Carl when Prison season 4, when he decided, look, I need to, or season 3.
When
he decided he needed to pop that kid just because, and Herschel was like, he was unarmed. There was no way he could have hurt you. He's like, well, he could have.
Sorry, I moved the mic. Yeah.
And I think that's about where Chris is right now. He was going to turn. Of course he's going to turn. Everybody's going to turn.
Yeah.
When they die. You hasten that.
Yeah.
And then he turned with everybody in the room.
Yeah, which could have been very, very bad. And kudos to Daniel.
Yep.
Because that was one of the... that was one of the scenes where, because I've said I have my problems with the show, but when Daniel was like, no, we can use this. I was like, okay, Daniel.
As soon as he said, wait, not yet. I was like, I know what they're going to do.
Yep. Daniel and Louise, I think, are two of the... In my personal... Strand's good. A lot of the characters are good.
Louise is good. He's new, but he's good.
Yeah, well, the reason why I like Louise a lot is because we didn't get to talk about this a little bit last week, and I said it. I loved it when Nick's like, "Oh man, there's guys with guns on our boats. They're where's my family? Blah blah blah." And Louise is like, "The guys with guns," and it's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Hold on," just pulls out the sniper, boom, boom, takes care of that problem. It was done, and it's like, okay, Louise, you're a businessman.
You can tell that he's a businessman, and he was. Thomas Abigail and Strand's cleanup guy. Mm-hmm. Something went south. He came in and took care of it. And he's continuing to do that for Strand. I'm anxious to see what happens next week
Yeah.
when they're trying to make the crossing into Mexico.
Yeah. It makes me very, very, very excited to see what happens with them. I look at Louise as sort of the Mike from Breaking Bad. He goes in and he cleans up. He might not be as badass as Mike, because nobody can be as as badass as Mike from Breaking Bad. But I think he's definitely he's up there with those characters. But to kind of backtrack a little bit towards Daniel, because we got to.
Yeah.
We got to. Who do you think? I mean, he's starting to lose it. He's kind of starting to go Rick Grimes.
I'd almost say he's starting to go more Shane. I mean, realistically, he's looking... You look at his background, though. I mean, they fled El Salvador not because he was tortured, but because he was one of the torturers. And now, they see him with this kid, and yeah, he was cleaning his wounds and not torturing him. Mm-hmm. He's still got it in him.
Oh, yeah, season 1 showed that.
I really think that Daniel is going to be one of the useful characters in the long run, especially for getting information from captives.
Yeah.
As long as they're on sea, I think he is going to be extremely useful.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. And it's kind of a shame about Ophelia, because she's one of the kind of forgettable characters for me. She shows up, she cleans up and she talks, but there's so many other characters that are starting to stand out now, which is a good thing. It's a very, very good thing. But, you still... Ophelia just kind of doesn't, stand out as much. But who do you think the voice could have been?
Oh, I think it was one of the trainers that taught him how to torture.
Oh, really?
I think that's who he was hearing, was the voice of someone who was like, go ahead, pick it up. Pick up the gun. Get his gun. And you're going to threaten him with his... he was completely off on his own place, losing it.
Yeah.
And flashing back to his old days.
See, I thought the voice could have possibly been his father.
That's a possibility.
Because didn't he say that he learned some of the stuff from his dad?
I think so.
I would need to rewatch season 1, and that's
painful.
It's definitely a more difficult journey to go through than watching all 6 of the new Walking Dead seasons. But I digress. I think he's... I agree. I think he's starting to kind of lose it a little bit. I think it could be dangerous for the group. And I'm wondering if that's going to draw him and Chris closer. Because him and Chris seem to kind of have he at least understands where Chris is coming from about wanting to be useful, about wanting to be, not in charge, but he's essentially, Chris is kind of compensating. Let's face it. His mother died. He feels he probably couldn't protect his mother. He is compensating for the fact that he couldn't protect his mother, and so now he's putting himself in danger, which is stuff I hate when Walking Dead characters do, because
but they're
it
early
never
enough.
ends well.
They're early enough in the season; it's not going to end badly for them yet. You have to get to like them and know them and trust them and really depend on them first, and then they'll die.
Yeah,
I am cynical when it comes to Walking Dead.
No, you need to be. You have to be, because that's one of the things.
It's almost like reading a George R.R. Martin book.
Yeah, and that's where I think season 6 has, done something extremely, extremely, extremely well, even though there's been such controversy around, the
main character death.
Yeah, the main character death. It's like we have this character that we've grown and loved, and like I've always said, it has to be one of the 3. It has to either be, Daryl, Glenn, or Michonne, or on the slow front, Abraham. He's like the least likely, I think, but I think he's definitely one of the ones that are up there. It has to be a character that we care so much about, and that's where it's fun, and And with these characters, if that happened, if they get left us on a cliffhanger, which they probably will.
At some point, yeah.
Yeah, they probably will at some point, but they're not there yet, and I really want to. I really do want to care about these characters.
Yeah, and that's the good thing is they are making us care. I mean, like I said at the beginning, this is the first time I've ever been, okay, I really, really want to watch next Sundays. I wish it were already here. Mm-hmm. Because I'm not used to that with Fear the Walking Dead. It's kind of like, I'll catch it. But they're starting to build the characters up in a way you want to see them. You want them to come through. You want them to develop. You want them to get better. And, I really, really, really want these characters to do something. I want them to stick around. I want them to gel as a group. I want them to make it to Baja House.
Yeah.
I want them to find out that is overrun, too.
Yeah, that's actually kind of what I want to talk about real quick, too, because Baja House seems very interesting. Because I've heard both Strand and...
Luis,
thank you. I both heard Strand and Luis kind of talk about, we've only paid enough money for one. What's going on to where in society right now, I know it's still early, but that you're paying people, not in goods or bullets, but in maybe cash.
Okay, did you watch The Talking Dead the week prior?
Yes.
With Yvette Nicole Brown and Coleman Domingo?
Yes.
Okay. Somebody called and asked, what was the significance of the helicopters in the beginning and the boats, prowling around shore as Nick was swimming up naked with his clothes in a bag behind him?
Yeah.
And he said, you've heard of us talk about getting through the flotilla? That's the flotilla. Mm-hmm. That is what will stop us from getting through. Mm-hmm. And you have to pay for one person.
Yeah.
And, Strand's like, I don't have enough money to pay for all of you. So we'll get through this. So Strand's got a plan.
Yeah.
But, I find it highly ironic, especially in today's political climate, that Mexico's the one that built the wall.
Yeah.
Nope. Y'all are turned into zombies. Y'all can stay out there. We're going to be in here.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah.
But, Mexico built the wall for a good reason.
Yeah.
And they're protecting that wall. They've got, armed guards, I'm assuming, in helicopters. They're patrolling it. They're trying to make sure that nobody gets over onto their side because the U.S. is so jacked up right at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And, that's where I'm interested to see more of the world view of the apocalypse more so then. And real quick, because we're almost out of time, unfortunately. We got a good couple minutes left. But Alex came back. And she came back in force.
Oh, yeah, she did.
Now, what did you think of that? And do you think that possibly what Travis said might have swayed her to forgive him when Travis, or at least forgive them, where Travis is like, hey, I put you there. Me and my group are no different than, when Strand cut you loose. It was a group decision. We killed that kid, and we're sorry. Do you think that she might have lightened up, or do you think because it's Alex and the only amount of time that we've had with her is a good couple minutes in the shorts for Flight 462?
Yeah.
And one episode, do you think, she'll be persuaded to go one way or the other?
I'm almost hoping with Alex, because she seems like a really, really complex character. Once you break her down, I'm really hoping she becomes the new big bad.
I think, yeah, I agree. I think if she becomes the big bad, that would be very, very interesting. It'd be fun. And it would give us something that we haven't gotten kind of in The Walking Dead yet, of a big bad trailing the good and constantly trying to stop them. So we get this kind of cat and mouse situation going on.
Yeah.
Which we kind of got a little bit with the big boat following them. And I wouldn't mind seeing that. I wouldn't mind seeing that at all. And I think kind of almost at this point, because let's face it, the bad guys that they've given us, I have different opinions on, but the bad guys that they've given us, I did not like the pirates as much. There wasn't enough build up to them for me to really care enough, except, Jack talking. And real quick too, Captain Jack, as people are now claiming him. Do you think he could possibly be one of the ones, the right-hand man of Alex, possibly, that will hunt them down? Because it's like, well, Alicia, which I thought it was so stupid. It's like, hey, you got your family that you're trying to protect in this world. Just run away with me. We'll survive, in a gas station. It's like, okay, Jack, what the hell are you thinking?
Come on, dude. Are you high? Really? Seriously?
Yeah. It's like, well, what was he thinking for one? And two, do you think he could possibly have... like a jaded lover type situation?
I don't know, but, they're on a dry docked ship. And they have other boats, and they're out raiding and stealing other people's mid-sized yachts, and they talked a lot about Connor's operation, and I'm almost wondering if that's maybe what they're going to end up as. Because I remember you said a couple of weeks ago it would be interesting to see if, especially after the Negan intro and reveal.
Yep.
And, how they said, well, Negan's only like a couple of bad days away from being, or Rick's only a couple of bad days away from being Negan.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see Travis or Strand or one of them end up, but in the same boat as a Negan.
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting to see what happens if our group becomes the bad guys.
Yeah. And that especially with Baja House, I think that's
Baja House
very possible.
With Nick, with Strand, with oh my God, with Chris, with Daniel. I mean, they've got everything they need to be a group of bad guys. I think it would be great.
Yeah. I think it would be fantastic.
It would definitely give the show something to differentiate and branch off from Walking Dead, and not just, this is riding in the coattails. They'd mentioned that, if we'd started off following Negan in The Walking Dead, we would be rooting for him and going, oh my God, Rick was such a jerk. Why'd he come in and kill all his people? We would understand that there are certain fundamental things you have to do to survive, and they are doing it.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I hope does happen, and I think it would be very interesting to where our group in Fear the Walking Dead tries to survive, and then all of a sudden they start making harsher and harsher calls, and you're watching it and you're kind of oblivious, and then all of a sudden when you really step back, you're like, well, they're bad guys, oh my God.
Yeah, they're Negan.
Yeah, because I want to see, and this is where I really kind of hope it happens, and why I wouldn't mind seeing a Negan point of view of The Walking Dead for some reason, because I want to see them somehow try to work in to justify, sending a message and beating somebody's head in with a baseball bat, and you justify that as, well,
they kind of deserved it.
Yeah, I want that, and for you to still be rooting for the character. That's what I want. That would be interesting. But...
And I really think that's just a prediction here. That's the way I'm going. And, by the way... I did watch the two Talking Deads back-to-back, last Sundays and the Sunday previous. It's scary how right Yvette Nicole Brown is.
Oh, my God, yeah.
She's like, I don't know. I don't think it was Alicia. I think it was Alex. Alex told them because, she was mad and Connor found her and threatened to kill her. And she said, hey, you know what? There's this really neat ship called the... And that was almost word for word. Yeah.
No, I would love a chance to watch either Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead with that woman, because it would be so much fun.
Well, it would be kind of fun, but she'd be constantly scribbling in a notebook and pausing it.
I'd be fine with that. I'd be like, what'd you get? What'd you got?
Let me ask you this. Do you think Connor's dead?
I kind of hope he is dead, because for me personally, I didn't like his character, and this is the one thing that I gotta say. Like I've said, the characters have gotten a lot better. I like the grittiness of stuff. However, I absolutely hate how eccentric every single character is trying to be. Strand's very eccentric.
No, I disagree with you on that. I don't think Strand's eccentric. I think Strand is very, very methodical, and I think he's very opportunistic.
Well, I mean, he said he was like, he's opportunistic. What you said, it's morning. Yeah. But, you know, he's that, but then he also said, you know, he's you know, a student of the fine or whatever.
Oh yeah, I'm a student of the finer things.
And that to me is very much like he has definitely a superiority complex.
He's got a little bit of privilege.
Yeah, it's and granted we figured out his backstory and he's worked for everything he's gotten, you know, but it's still this kind of pretentious nature that I'm like, come on, let's get to the grittiness. Get to the grittiness. Enough of showing how smart and intelligent your characters are, and let's see what they will go through. Let's see, you know, the nitty gritty. That's what I'm wanting. Let's turn these guys into bad guys. And even then, it kind of spilled over with Alicia, because the main bad guy, you see him, he's making the steak. He's doing this, doing that, and then Alicia starts eating the steak, and then she looks almost heartbroken when, you know, the pregnant woman takes a steak and walks out, and it's like,
am I the only one who clapped when Alicia locked her in the cell?
Oh no, I liked that, but I mean, essentially, I don't know.
I was like, man, she is just such a bee.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, yeah, good. Lock her in the cell. Pregnancy does not give you any. And one of the things that I'm interested in is her baby alive, and if not, is it going to be stillborn as usual?
Yeah, and
or is it going to be stillborn inside and shut down?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm interested to see, what happens, and you know, predictions. Let's get to predictions for next time, because we do have to wrap it up. What do you think is going to happen next time?
Well, obviously the whole family's going to be reunited.
Yeah.
I think in the meantime, Nick will have gone out on another mission.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Madison.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, wrong character. I was combining. Never mind.
Yeah.
I was combining this character and that character, and I came up with Allison. No, wrong. That's going to make Madison very, very mad.
Mm-hmm.
I think Travis is finally getting the whole, we're going to have to fight.
Yeah.
And so be it. I think Daniel's going to continue being Daniel.
Yeah.
I think Strand's going to continue being Strand. I hope they find Thomas Abigail. Although, I think when they find him, he's going to sound a little bit different than he did previously.
Yeah.
I have a feeling he's going to sound like...
Yeah. I think Baja House... I honest to God...
Baja House is overrun.
I think Baja House is definitely overrun. Yeah. It's like, oh, well, where are we going to go now? And it's like, yay, we get another season on a boat. Like, I don't know.
And Andy Samberg will guest star next season.
Yeah. The boat's interesting, but I'm also kind of like, we've gone nowhere with it too much.
I like the idea of the boat. I mean, it's kind of like the RV.
Uh-huh.
You know, you can get in, you can go long distances, you can go short distances, you can kind of protect yourself. I hope they keep the boat around for season 3.
Uh-huh.
I hope they don't make landfall and decide they're going to defend Baja House against whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be interesting, and that's where it's kind of like I want to see them on the boat, trailing to island to island to island, and going further and further away from the States, so we can see what has happened in the world. Of The Walking Dead, not just go from, what was it, Atlanta, Georgia, or go from
King County
to
named after Stephen King.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
go from
King, little shout out,
King County to Alexandria, Washington. So I'm definitely interested to see where the series goes. It looks like something's going to go south next episode, but I like I've said, these characters have been managed to survive without consequences too much, and
I think the consequences will come.
I think they will. I'm just hoping that it's not one of those things where at the end of every season finale we're going to get a big major death. because then it's like, well, then it's predictable and we know what's going to happen and blah, 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 so on and so forth. But thanks, everybody, so much for tuning in. I had a blast. It's been really, really fun.